Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and since it's Women's History Month, I'm here today to talk to you about The Adventures of Shirley Holmes Season 1, Episode 1, the pilot episode, The Case of the Burning Building. So this is a show I haven't watched in many years. I probably watched this probably about 5 to 8 years ago. That's when I discovered this show even existed. Because okay, it's a Canadian crime mystery drama show. A teen one at that. And I never knew this came out in the 90s because, of course, I'm not Canadian, so therefore I don't get Canadian TV shows. But apparently, this came out in America. They showed it, but I didn't have the cable channel that it aired on, so I never even knew this existed. The only way I found out is because I was researching former Goosebump kids and what they've been up to. And so when I was looking up for the Vampire Breath episode, Meredith Henderson, she is the main star of this show. So it says she did something called Shirley Holmes. I'm like, Holmes? That sounds like Sherlock Holmes. And so when I started researching into it on Wikipedia, I'm like, oh, okay, it turns out she is the great niece of Sherlock Holmes and everything. So it was like a little teen show. So I'm like, oh, that's neat. Like, I'm wondering if I can find it on YouTube. And lo and behold, I did. And so you can watch this still to this day on YouTube. There are probably 5, 6 different channels that upload all the episodes. And so it's a really good, intriguing show. And I gotta admit, it's pretty edgy and dark for a teenage show. Like in the first episode, they the main villain, who's played by Ryan Gosling, him of all people, he literally tries to kill the two main stars of the show by setting them in the trying to set them on fire in the burning building and everything. That's pretty edgy for a kid's show. You won't see nothing like that in America and stuff. And so it lasted for 4 seasons. Oh, by the way, this is not the rundown review. When I do the rundown review, I'll do the rundown review. I'll talk about more about other episodes. I'm just talking about this one. So it ran for 4 seasons and 52 episodes. And one reason why it got canceled was because the kids were getting older. They started this at 12 years old, and they were about 16 when it ended. So they was getting pretty tall and everything. And so I think also because they were running out of ideas and stuff, because they say, with them being kids, they can do more kids stuff, but then when adults, they had to change the dynamic. I don't know what they'll have to change because everything's pretty mature as it was. I mean, Ryan Gosling trying to set somebody on fire. I mean, come on, man. And stuff. So, yeah. And so, yeah, I recommend y'all check this show out. It's pretty cool. And so in this episode, it starts off with this building, and the building is being set on fire, and there's a homeless woman asleep there. I gotta say, I'm actually surprised they showed a homeless woman. Normally they show homeless men in TV shows and movies, and there are real homeless women in real life because I've seen them on the street. And so when the fire is setting the blaze, she runs panicked on out of there, right? And so, by the way, also the intro is really cool. The intro is where, because see, she lives in Sherlock Holmes's, no, actually, she don't live in his home, I don't think. Or maybe she lives in his American home, because there's something that explains it. So she lives in his American, no, if it's a Canadian show, then I guess he lived in Canada at one point in time. So anyway, he lived in Canada at one point in time in the fictional, make believe of this show, because he's a fictional character no matter what. So he lived in Canada at some point, built, had a home built, has a secret passage in the bookshelf. And so she went in there one day and she deciphered this type of puzzle box where she finds all of his stuff. And a lot of his souvenirs are in there. And that's what's really cool about the intro. So anyway, so as she's getting ready for school and everything, she sees that the police tape and everything, and how the building was set on fire. Being the snoop that she is, she decides she's gonna go investigate. And you got to give it up to this girl, man. She's very clever and very intelligent. So she puts on shower caps on her feet, has gloves on, and she has like an antenna rod type thing, like snooping around. She has the stuff on her feet, so of course she doesn't leave her footprints. That's pretty clever. And of course the gloves are no prints and everything. And so, but she steals evidence, which is something you're not supposed to do in a crime scene. She finds two pair of shoes. And so she goes to school and she's late for class. And so she gets detention. Now, while she's there, there's a new kid there named Bo. And Bo, his last name is Sawchuck, and he's played by John White. I remember him from Goosebumps too. He was in the second Haunted Mask episode. And you know, it's so funny because a lot of their friends at school have all came from Goosebumps. It's like a Goosebumps reunion. And so like um at some point in time, she sees he's getting picked on by a kid who clearly doesn't go there. See, they go to a academy school called Sussex Academy. And so they have to wear their uniforms and everything. And this dude, played by Ryan Gosling, who plays Sean, he is not wearing a uniform, leather jacket and all. So the teacher sees him getting shoving the dude on the ground and all this other stuff. So because of that, Bo gets in trouble for some bizarre reason. Like the show, it has to like skip through a lot of stuff, so it kind of speeds through things. Some things aren't explained too well. Like, why didn't the teacher call the cops on Sean? He clearly doesn't go there. So Bo gets detention where he meets Shirley. And so Shirley's just like staring him down, which irritates him. And she reads him like a book. She is able to determine that he's colorblind, which this is only mentioned in the pilot only. She's able to determine where he works at because he smells like fish. She's able to determine that this is his first time in like a prep school because he keeps playing around with his tie. And she said that, you know, wearing a tie at prep school is like your second skin, you know, not to mess with it and have it like very neat. And she's able to determine that he comes from like the other side of town and all this other stuff, and that he was in a gang because like he has a tattoo, and that explains why that dude was roughing him up and stuff. So of course he doesn't like that and everything, because who likes to get read, you know what I'm saying? And so at some point in time, she decides to go down to like the local soup kitchen and find a homeless person who's not wearing shoes, because she determined that only a homeless person will be laying down in that makeshift bed who left their shoes behind. And so, but you know, in all honesty, the person could just left their shoes there, you know, or something like that. But so she decides to ask the woman like what's up and everything. And she tells her that she heard like a scream when the building got set on fire. So she knows she's looking for somebody. And so at some point when she's at school, the like police officer, like Inspector Marquis, he decides he's going to start interrogating Bo because Bo has a rap sheet. And he assumes that only Bo could be the person that's responsible for this. And so while she was at like the crime scene, she did a lot of investigating type stuff. I think she went back. So like she dusted for prints. She found like a piece of chewing gum, and she found some skin samples. Ugh. Some burnt skin samples. So after deducing this and that, she realized that the scream had to have come from somebody who burnt themselves. And so she goes back to Bo where he works at, and she makes him like lift up his sleeves and his pants leg to see that he's not burnt. So she knows it couldn't have been him. And somebody left the gum at the crime scene on the door. Now that's just dumb because they can search that for DNA. So not very clever. And so she starts talking to him some more, and so she starts to suspect that like it could be that Sean person. And so Bo goes to see his caseworker dude named Steve and tells him, you know, it wasn't him and this and that. And so while she's there with Bo, she noticed that Steve has a very nice painting and mentions it. And so like at some point she starts talking want to know more about Sean. And Bo tells her, no, like, leave him alone. He's like a really bad person and stuff. But of course, she doesn't listen. So she needs to determine if, like, he's injured or not. So she bumps into him really hard and he takes off his jacket. And there his arm is bandaged up. And so, like, after telling, like, Bo that and stuff, he starts to suspect that, why would Sean burn it down? And so she tells him, doing stuff like this, people normally burn their buildings down for insurance. So they go to like the person who owns the building, some sleazy type guy. And so when he leaves, they decide they're gonna call the last person that called his place, like on caller redial and everything, right? And it turns out to be Steve, the caseworker dude. So what does he have to do with it? So she starts investigating and spies on Steve, taking pictures, and she sees him with Sean. So at some point she goes and she tells Bo to go back to her place. He's very impressed by her home and asks who the woman in the picture is, right? And so like um it's her mom, and she says her mom's away, but the dad reveals the mom died. Now what's really interesting that she tells him that like his footprints, his shoe prints and everything, and like fingerprints are all over the crime scene, so he's gonna be blamed for this no matter what. But they don't know why he's being set up. You gotta give it up to this girl. This girl is like determined. She's only 12 years old, but she's very much like Nancy Drew. And I kind of wish this is how the CW Nancy Drew show was. Instead of it being all like what witches and demons and ghosts and stuff like that, like a good old sleuth crime detective ghost writer type thing. And and it's really cool about her because when she discovered that Sherlock Holmes was her great great uncle, she started like reading up more on like how to solve crimes and learn how to be like him because she was very intrigued by him. And the thing about her, she's a very shy, quiet, very calm mannered, soft spoken, like young girl. And so, but she is a bit impulsive, like, trying to solve things before like the police, because her and the police don't necessarily get along. And she learns the hard way what happens when you get a little impulsive. So when Bo goes to interrogate Steve, she goes to confront Sean at the building he's about to burn. Of course, he captures her and locks her in the room. Bo tries to save her, but he gets locked in the room too. And so Sean has literally set the building on fire and they are about to die. Like I said before, that is edgy for a teen drama and everything. So, but knowing her, she knows how to pick locks and everything. So, like, she picks it free. They're trying to bust out the window because it's boarded up. They get out just in the nick of time for the building explodes. And so, after this, he goes to talk to the inspector dude, only for her to like run off and without a trace because she says she likes to keep a low profile as she's like writing in her journal and stuff. She doesn't like getting involved with like police because she gets in there way too much. Now, I have to say, like I said before, this thing is a pretty cool episode, but it's a little rushed. Um, she deduces things way too quickly. It'll be nice to see her kind of struggle a little bit, instead of like figuring things out within a second. But it's a 20-minute episode, so they have to kind of rush things. It'd be nice though if the episodes were longer because she does figure things out way too fast and it's a little too convenient. Another thing that kind of bugs me about this episode is like the ending. It would have been nice to see Sean and Steve actually get arrested instead of the inspector talking about arresting them off screen. So that would have been like nice to see. Or it could have been like Goosebumps where they call the police, be like, hey, we're gonna be here and somebody's gonna be there, and then they bust that person. But all in all, it was a really good start to like a really amazing series and stuff. But yeah, you can kind of tell towards the end they were kind of starting to stretch things out to where it got kind of like hokey and everything. I think at one point they even introduced magic, I think. I'm not really 100% sure. It's been, like I said, a long time since I saw this. And it'll be so great, man, if they could, like, bring back this series just like one time, like a TV movie, just like something. Because the stars are much older now, and it'll be really cool to see them. Cause like I watched the interview, Meredith on what is it? I think it's called Me, You, and YTV, a YouTube channel where she did like an interview and stuff. And I found out some interesting things about the show. Now, I already knew she had a sister because I saw her sister in Goosebumps. Her sister starred in one of my favorite ones, Stay Out the Basement. And her sister actually gets stars on the show sometimes. And I wish her sister could have been in the show more. Her sister is actually older. I didn't even know that. She's the youngest of like all her siblings. And so like man, I really gotta review Stay Out the Basement because I haven't done that yet for my Halloween videos and stuff. I got too distracted by other stuff. Too many holidays come up, man. It's even like every month's a holiday now, and brand new ones pop up. But yeah, I think Shirley Holmes is a really good character for people to look up to. She's very poised, very intelligent. She's able to like do things that most people can't. She has a very unique fashion sense. Like she think of it like this. Um Ghostwriter Lenny matched in with Blossom, like the TV show Blossom. Like she dresses like that, and she always wears like a hat or some kind of like vest or something. Like she has a very unique, geeky kind of like style. But it was the '90s and stuff. And Bo, of course, dresses like just like a regular dude, baggy clothes from the '90s. Like my God, like shirts. God, I remember that wearing a shirt in the '90s. It was almost like wearing a dress. And really, really, really baggy pants. But that was the style back in the day, you know what I'm saying? And like, yeah, you would really enjoy lots of more episodes because the Bo becomes kind of like her Watson and everything. And she even has an arch enemy, Molly Hardy, which is like Morty Hardy and stuff. So it's kind of like cool. She has her own like I just like how they do that whole Sherlock Holmes, but in like a small girl version. And so, of course, if this would be made today time, people would be like, well, that sounds woke to me because it's a female lead and everything. And but see, back in those days, nobody said crap like that, you know? People wasn't thinking stupidly like that back in the day. And so, yeah, every episode is on YouTube. There's like millions of channels that have it. Check it out. It's a really, really good series. Happy Women's History Month, everybody. All right, I'll talk to you later. Bye.